Just when we thought it couldn't get worse for the Miami Heat this season, the Miami Heat, who would have been the 11th pick in the lottery, made the play-in tournament. So they're now the 15th. They get the 15th pick, which is owed to the Thunder. But anyway, the Dallas Mavericks, who were slotted in the 11th spot because they didn't win the play-in, ultimately won the draft sweepstakes and are now going to be capturing the flag. And they were gifted the number one pick, which I think is rigged. They had a 1.8% chance of acquiring the first pick overall. And conveniently, after trading away Luka in one of the dumbest, worst rigged trades in NBA history, they were gifted Cooper Flag. And I think the NBA Illuminati told Nico that, hey, we want LeBron to have another teammate. We want the Lakers to be relevant. Obviously, the biggest market team in the NBA, one of the most storied franchises in NBA history, alongside with the Boston Celtics. We want them to be relevant because all we talk about are the big market teams, all the New York. We talk about New York, LA, and that's basically it. The Golden State Warriors, maybe you can throw in there, but it's always about the Lakers. It's always about the Knicks on ESPN. They want to continue that narrative of these big market teams. So they basically forced him into trading Luka Doncic, saying that he was fat and out of shape and his defense is horrible, which we all know, but still, they were forced to trade a top 3, top 5 player in his prime at age 25 to the Lakers overnight, where basically there was no bidding war. If Luka was put onto the market, they would have got 7 draft picks, another star, younger and better than Anthony Davis. They could have got an up and coming young all-star, like let's say the Thunder were in the mix. They could have got Jalen Williams, who's an all-star, who's only 24 years old. They could have also thrown in Chet Holmgren. They would have got both of them for a Luka Doncic type player. They would have also gave him like 3 to 4 picks. So the fact that they only got 1 first round pick for Luka, AD, who is a top 15 player when healthy, but he's never healthy, and he's also almost 32 years old. And so he's only going to be more hurt and playing less and less. And they only got Max Christie and didn't get Austin Reeves, who's a young, good player from the Lakers, and all of the Lakers draft picks, tells me that it's rigged. But either way, I think they said, hey, trade us Luka right now. You guys will get Cooper Flag. So basically, not only are you trading for Anthony Davis in that one first pick, which is not enough, you get the first pick, which is Cooper Flag. So that is the sweetener. That's the bonus. So that came to life, in my opinion. Being a little facetious, but still, it feels rigged. They had a 1.8 chance percentage to get that first round pick. Teams that tanked, like the Jazz, the Wizards, didn't get a top pick, which is hilarious. Like, they got screwed. The Spurs, who were supposed to be projected to get like a 6th or 7th pick, got the 2nd pick. The Sixers, who were supposed to get like the 4th or 5th pick, got the 3rd pick. So all of the horrible teams that actually sucked didn't get a top 3 pick, which I think is hilarious. But either way, the Miami Heat were supposed to get that pick technically because the way the lottery works, the 11th seed would have got it. It doesn't matter who that team was specifically, they would have got it. But I don't think the Miami Heat would have had that luck if we were the 11th seed. I think we would have gotten the 11th pick if the Miami Heat was actually in the lottery, because the NBA hates the Miami Heat. When the Miami Heat, were trying to get Damian Lillard and he asked for the Miami Heat, he is the only superstar that I can remember in the history of the last decade or so during this player movement where he didn't get to the team where he wanted. James Harden, LeBron, Anthony Davis, whoever it was, Paul George, all these players that wanted to go to a specific team, Kevin Durant, they all got to go to their team. And the Miami Heat got screwed. So I'm just at a loss for words that the Dallas Mavericks actually were able to get this. And this is not the first time in NBA history where shit has been possibly rigged after a specific trade like this. So if we look back, 2011, when Chris Paul was traded to the Los Angeles Clippers in 2012, the New Orleans Pelicans ended up getting the first pick. They were owned by the NBA at that point, so they were able to get Anthony Davis immediately after trading their superstar. Back in 2019, when Anthony Davis, though, was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, then the Pelicans in 2019 got the number one pick and got Zion. The Los Angeles Lakers are trading away Luka, and guess who gets the number one pick? The Dallas Mavericks. Like, this has happened before, and this is not the first time where it's felt like there's been conspiracies in the NBA, especially when it comes to the NBA draft. So, like in the 1985 draft, for example, Patrick Ewing was drafted number one to the New York Knicks, and they said this was supposedly rigged. The controversy stems from the way the lottery was conducted back then. So conspiracy theorists said that when they opened up the envelope already looked a creased. There was like a bent mark on it, and it made it look like that was the card that they wanted them to pick, which was the New York Knicks specifically. So they picked the one that was bent on purpose, it seems like. So that way they manipulated the results so that the New York Knicks could get Patrick Ewing. So that is one controversy. Another one was Chris Webber going to the Golden State Warriors. So another rigged moment was that was 1993. So the Orlando Magic had the top pick, but they selected Chris Webber and immediately traded him for Penny Hardaway for the third pick. So they got the third pick, Penny Hardaway, and a future first round pick. So why didn't they just pick Penny? Like, why didn't they pick Penny? Was it like the Golden State Warriors really wanted Chris Webber that badly that they rigged this trade, possibly because they didn't want to pair Shaq with Chris Webber? They wanted to, because this was in this era, it was all about the point guard and the big, like the Gary Payton, the Sean Kemps. So they wanted to have a better duo. So that was one right there. 2003. Yes, the Cavs had a better opportunity to get the number one pick, but they wanted to gift them Akron's own LeBron James. So that was one other controversy. Another one was in 2008 when the Miami Heat had the worst record, didn't get the number one pick. We got the number two pick. We got screwed. Derrick Rose. Chicago Bulls had a very small chance. I forgot what they were. They had a way better record than the Miami Heat. They ended up getting the number one pick because guess where Derrick Rose is from? He's from Chicago. So they wanted to sell tickets. So there's been a lot of moments, like head scratchy moments, where it feels like the NBA has been rigged. But anyway, the Miami Heat continue to have all the bad luck. Jimmy Butler requested a trade. The team got swept and got their ass beat by the Cavs. They pretty much had the worst performance in NBA history in the playoffs. Like, they had the biggest point differential, lost by 190 something, 50 points or whatever it was across the 4 games. Game 3, they lost by 37 at home, which was a playoff record for the Miami Heat. Then they followed that up by losing by 55 points, 92 points in 2 games against the Cavs, who are now getting their ass whooped by the Indiana Pacers. They're down 1-3. So, sucks for the Miami Heat because, yeah, technically, if it wasn't rigged, the Miami Heat would have gotten Cooper Flag, which is just so freaking comical. The irony of this team making the playoffs and missing out on that. You know, the risk for that was low because the percentage was so low, but of course this happened. And again, I said I can go either way. Like, more playoff basketball, playoff experience is fun, but also getting those 2 lottery picks that we owe protected still has meaning. But also, I was okay. It was a win-win because if the Heat lost because they suck and this was a horrible season, then they would get 2 picks this draft. So I was okay about either direction, but right now this one really hurts, man. This sucks. Anyway, that's all I have for this episode. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.